Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have Claudia Jordan, just hilarious, co-hosting. And let's get in some front page news. Tesla and Figaro, good morning.
Good morning, DJ Envy, just hilarious, Claudia Jordan, and last but not least, Charlamagne.
The Hood Whisperer, what's happening?
Let's jump right into it. So Game 3 is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, the Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat. Now, Cornel West announcing he's running for president.
Yes, scholar and activist Dr. Cornel West announced Monday he's running as a presidential candidate for the People's Party. Dr. West said that neither political party wants to tell the truth about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, or about big tech.
He's right.
Let's listen to what he had to say, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life.
I'm highly intrigued. I love Dr. Cornel West, but what is the People's Party, Tess?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked it because I want to make sure people are not confused. So if most people just do a search on Wikipedia, you'll find that the People's Party started in 1892. But Dr. West is not associated with that People's Party. He's actually a part of something called the Movement for the People's Party. Now, this organization was founded in 2017. The founders came out of the Bernie Sanders campaign. They advocate for government-run single-pay health care, 4-day work week, paid family leave, rent control, free college tuition, $15 minimum wage, and you can learn more at CornelWest24.com. And I just want to say this, being on the Bernie Sanders campaign, some of you may not know I was the National Racial Justice Director for Bernie Sanders during that time, and they've been recruiting Dr. West and even Senator Nina Turner as well to run for president. So a lot of folks were surprised by this, but I was not, because they have really been trying to get somebody to run on a third-party ticket for a minute.
I'm here for it. I like it. I love the disruption. And at this point, the DNC can't ignore having some type of primary challenge, right? Like, they got to have a conversation, right?
Well, it's always good to have a conversation. Now, he's running as a independent, so he's not running as a Democrat. So that means that the Democrat Party does not have to, allow him to debate, does not really even have to pay attention at all. So Dr. West understands that, it's a long shot, but his mission, like you just heard him say, is about just, having the conversation, putting it out there on the table, forcing perhaps the Democrat candidate, who we know will be former President Biden, to go a little bit more to the left. So there's a lot of, back and forth on that, saying, is this going to split the vote? Is this a bad thing? But Dr. West is doing Dr. West. So
I was going to ask you that, Tez. Do you think it's a bad thing? Because a lot of people would say that, people who are riding for Dr. West, if he doesn't make it, people will say, you know what, I'm not voting at all. Do you think that'll be the same case?
Well, I think if somebody's going to be involved in the process, which he talks about that in his longer speech about getting involved, about having some type of voice. A lot of these folks who are supporting Dr. West are not supporting President Biden either, anyway. Right. So it's all about, and I do this in my training, everyone is not running necessarily to win. Now, the question is, will Dr. West, will he stay in the entire time when it's time to go, for the general on next year? Or will this just be something that he talks about until there's an opportunity to go, to vote Democrat or Republican? So we still have a year to go. This is about having the conversation, since obviously the Democrat Party is not going to allow really anybody to challenge President Biden. This is about, what do you do with those folks that still want to talk about Medicare for all, free tuition, college tuition, and those things. So there's going to be some folks that are going to say, yeah, he's helping Trump, and you're going to hear that. But I look at it as these folks were probably not going to be involved either way. So this gives them something, to advocate for.
I think it's a positive. It's
Absolutely.
a positive. At first, it's like, okay, you may be splitting the vote, but not really. Like, great points. And you do need someone to keep the pressure on the Democrats. They've had it too easy with us.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, with Dr. West, he's going to be throwing out a lot of fresh ideas. And even though he's not a Democrat, don't you think it would behoove them to still have some type of debate so President Biden can show that his ideology still holds up against, everybody that's out there right now, the Marianne Williamsons and the Bobby Kennedys, and even Cornel out there as an independent?
Absolutely would behoove them, but they don't want to be behooved.
They don't want to be behooved.
Some people may say they're more interested in bamboozling opposed to behooving.
You're right.
And also, I was going to say Vice President Mike Pence is also filing paperwork, right?
Yeah, just quickly on the Republican side, just to give folks an update. Former
Oh, we lost him.
He's wasting his time.
Damn.
Mike Pence is wasting his time.
You think so?
He is. The people that like Trump cannot stand Mike Pence. Remember, they were okay with him being hung
That's true.
at the Capitol. So he's a thorn in their side. They do not like Mike Pence. He was weak. Happy Pride Month, Mike Pence as well. But they don't like
Allegedly.
him. Allegedly. Remember when all the folks showed up at his front door?
Yep.
Drag queens? Because he was going so hard, and he was into that electrocution, that
Shock
the
therapy.
shock
Shock therapy, yeah, shock therapy.
for gay people.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of issues with him. He's wasting his time. So Mike Pence, have a seat.
All right. Well, that is front page news. We'll get Tez back on the line in a couple of minutes. But right now, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. And of course, Claudia Jordan and Jess Hilarious are here. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got our co-hosts, Jess Hilarious and Claudia Jordan here. And let's get some front page news. What up, Tez?
What's going on, DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Claudia Jordan, Charlamagne.
What up, Tez?
Full house.
Now, during Get It Off Your Chest, Wayne called, the brother from L.A., and he wanted to know about this story about, I guess, a white woman shooting this lady who was trying to retrieve an iPad or a device.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Wayne, for calling in. We were going to cover this. And so, 35-year-old A.J. Owens, a mother of four, was shot and killed in Florida following a longtime feud. There has been a longtime feud with a neighbor who has complained about the victim's children playing outside. Now, the shooter is a 58-year-old unidentified white woman, and she engaged with Owens' children several times, over the years. And so this particular incident, guys, she threw a pair of skates hitting the children, and there was a witness that said that she also threw their electronic tablet and it broke. And so, and actually allegedly hitting one of the children. And so the mother just basically went to talk to her and the woman shot her through the door. Now, I just got off the phone with Attorney Crump literally 5 minutes ago. We've been talking about this case over the last couple of days and trying to really get some organizing around this to demand that, one, they release the white woman's name, who has, shot this woman, a mother of four, and two, arrests. And so, as you guys know, in the state of Florida, there is stand your ground. But again, does stand your ground mean that I can just shoot anybody through the door when there's not a threat, when there's not an issue? And so, to answer the caller's question, when they said, I guess he was saying, when you tell your children to not engage, this woman has been engaging and harassing these children. So it's been the other way around. She's been calling them N-words and slaves and telling them it's not the Underground Railroad. So this woman has absolutely been harassing these children.
What I don't understand is how can she remain unidentified?
Right.
Like how?
Because she's white and that's what they do. Whenever it's a black suspect, we have the whole Instagram, Facebook, all the details, every negative picture ever out.
There's going to be more on this, guys. We're asking for people to definitely make noise. We're asking people to call the police department, the sheriff's office, to make an arrest. I believe that there's been a lot of folks who are going to organize around this, a lot of high-profile people. So they're all going down to Ocala this weekend to make some noise as well.
The biggest thing is finding out this person's name, because, it's hard to make noise when you don't know the person's name.
Well, they got to know the name. I mean, she's a neighbor. I'm sure somebody in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do. We want the authorities. It's not that we don't know. We want the authorities to release it.
Right.
To release the name. And Instagram is always the top detective, so people know who she is.
Oh, so her name is on social already.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
and
even in her house too.
Now, I want to jump into that pilot. I guess a pilot was flying from, what was it, Florida to Long Island, and the pilot passed out.
Yeah, this was a lot of folks saw this over the weekend. I was kind of waiting, to get a little bit more information. But yeah, a pilot was observed slumped over his seat in a private jet that triggered an interception by supersonic military fighter jets protecting Washington, D.C. Let's listen to the report, talk about it on the other side.
Tonight, the wreckage has been found of a private jet that crashed in Virginia after flying hundreds of miles past its destination. But the reasons remain unclear for the mystery flight that passed right over the D.C. area and prompted fighter jets to scramble. Investigators describe highly fragmented wreckage in very mountainous terrain.
The airplane, the engines, the weather conditions, pilot qualifications, the maintenance records, all aspects will be, of course, items that we routinely look at.
Yeah, I had so many questions. One, I thought in those type of planes you had to have two pilots usually, because that wasn't a small plane. That was a Cessna, one of the bigger planes. And two, when that pilot passed out, did whatever that made him pass out, did everybody on the plane pass out?
I read something like that.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking. And just as a note, there were no survivors of the crash. It was a total of 4 people, including the pilot, 1 woman and a 2-year-old and her nanny. So very sad to hear that. But right now it is unclear. But at the moment, they are looking into hypoxia to see if that had anything to do with it. Now, hypoxia, guys, is a shortage of oxygen in the blood. It can happen when you fly at a high altitude, and it can be brought on by decompression of the jet's pressurized cabin. So they're looking into that. But as of now, they have not confirmed that was the reason.
Do we know who the family was?
But yeah, we know that it was like I just said, a woman, her 2-year-old toddler, and a nanny.
But we don't know who they are, like what they do, like, you know.
No, not sure.
Go ahead, Envy.
I was going to say that they did say that the father lost his other daughter a couple of years prior to a scuba diving accident. So now he lost another daughter. Yeah, I've seen that on the news.
Damn,
yeah, I did see they released her photos and all that, Charlamagne, to answer your question. So yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Tez, so much.
And make sure you subscribe to Tezlyn Figaro's podcast, the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio Podcast Network.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.